Hi, everyone. Welcome to Community in Focus. My name is Tim Ney, CDO of Catholic Charities San Bernardino Riverside. I'm here with Jim Steiner, Mayor Jim Steiner of the city of Corona. Mayor, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, we're excited, and we're going to jump a little bit back and talk about the mayor's history and a little bit about where he's from, and learn more about the city of Corona as well. So, Mayor, tell us about where you're from.
Well, I was born in L.A. at Queen of Angels Hospital, and my dad had moved to Corona in 1965, so I lived in Corona from 1965 to 1967, and then he moved our family to the city of Orange, and that's where I grew up and went to school. I became a paid call firefighter for Orange County Fire Authority back in 1983 to 1986, and then from 1986 to 2017, I was a Corona firefighter, and I retired out as a ladder truck captain at Station 1.
And so we were talking earlier about who influenced you in this journey as a firefighter. You'd mentioned your mom.
Yeah, so I didn't have any relatives or any friends in the fire service. And then, I was always a hard worker as a kid, and my mom says, why don't you become a firefighter? And I just kind of like, that's a great idea, Mom. And so I became a fire explorer in the city of Orange at 15 years old. I graduated high school while I was being a paid call firefighter, doing construction jobs. I went to the academy, and then I ended up getting hired in Corona in 1986.
That's great. So, kids, you can listen to your parents. His mom had a great idea.
Yeah, I didn't listen to all of her great ideas.
Yeah, so that's a journey of service as well.
My whole adult life.
Yeah. Did you have brothers and sisters as well?
I have 3 sisters and a brother.
Okay. I bring that up because you tend to really favor supporting youth in our community.
Yeah, and I think I kind of got that through osmosis from my dad. My dad was a social worker back in the 60s, early 70s. He was the director of the director of Good Samaritan Boys Home, or is in the Corona Norco area. It was a home for delinquent male teenagers. And then he went to Albert Sitting Home, which is a home for abused kids in the city of Orange next to Theo Lacey Jail. And while he was the director there, the child abuse problem was just growing and growing. And the facility wasn't big enough. And there were literally kids who had been abused, neglected, molested that were sleeping on the floor.
Oh, wow.
In this facility. So he spearheaded and this was 1986, 85, 84. He spearheaded a public-private partnership and raised over $8 million to build Orchwood Children's Home.
He left a mark for sure.
Which is also which was next to Albert Sitting Home. So it's a beautiful kind of all-in-one facility, all-encompassing, one-stop shop to take the stress off the kids that are brought in there by officers. And, they could go to one room for entrance, maybe another room to get break kit tested, maybe another room for this. I mean, so it was all done in one place by a bunch of loving employees and volunteers.
It takes a lot of love to do that type of work in general.
It's right.
So you're in the fire department. You're a rookie, I assume. I don't know what they call it.
I was, yeah.
I don't know if they call it a rookie.
Base all a rookie.
Was there a mentor there that helped you? Because you got all the way to captain and retired. Who helped you along the way?
Sure. And there were some colleagues of mine in the fire department, some older guys that were really great leaders that I did look up to and that helped me get promoted. I was a firefighter apprentice where I started at $4.25 an hour with no benefits. And I was the fourth person on the fire engine doing the exact same thing as the captain and everybody else. And then I got promoted to full-time firefighter. Then I got promoted to engineer, where I was driving for 7 years. And then I was the captain the last 21 years of my department.
Well, I've seen a lot of movies about firefighters, so you guys just work out all day, right?
We work out, we sleep in the recliners, hang out, eat a lot. We just hang out.
Yeah, but I mean, how many runs are they doing on a daily basis?
Well, it depends on the station.
Okay.
Yeah, I was always in the action, so I was usually at the busier stations. You would run anywhere from 5 to 15 calls a day. It kind of depends.
Yeah.
Some of the outlying stations, a couple of them are a little bit slower. But there are so many things that you have to do besides just respond on emergencies.
Right.
Station maintenance, equipment maintenance, you're involved in the community in so many different ways. You're involved in the schools, you're doing reading programs. You're doing fire inspections. Every fire crew on each engine company would have to do a couple hundred inspections a year. You're busy.
Preemptive work, right? So
A lot of prevention, yeah.
preventions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is I mean, I may go to work for a few days straight and get a couple calls, or I could get 30 calls and not have slept a wink, or get deployed up north to fight a fire. Because we go all over the place to fight fire, everywhere in California.
Now, as a civilian with all my firefighter experience, sometimes you take the large fire truck and the smaller ambulance will go too. And I know there's a lot of questions about that, but I was told it's because you have different equipment and such.
Well, yes and no. It's more about the manpower or the people power. So if you have somebody that calls 911 because they stubbed their toe, which happens, you may only send a 2-person squad with an ambulance. Everything's going to get an ambulance.
Sure.
But you'll see a lot of times where a paramedic rig, a fire department paramedic rig, and a fire engine or a fire truck will respond with them. And that's usually more serious emergencies like full cardiac arrest, where it literally takes 4 to 5 people doing a lot of different things at once. Generally, we get there well before the ambulance, and we contract out with AMR. And we have a great relationship with them, but they may not get there for 5 minutes or 25 minutes. So we have paramedics on all of our fire apparatus, so we can start advanced life support without worrying about an ambulance to get you stable for.
And you really don't know what you're going to find at the scene.
You don't. You may get the stub toe call, and you get there and the person shot themselves or something gnarly is going on.
Okay. And then that's working close with law enforcement.
Very close.
And then the fentanyl. I just heard a story about fentanyl where the folks in the ambulance knew exactly how to administer the Narcan, so it didn't wake the person up all of a sudden and just administer.
Right, so keep them out.
To keep them alive. That's what I was saying too.
Yeah, no, Narcan's pretty wonderful. When I retired in 2017, fentanyl was just kind of starting to show up. In Corona, we had heroin. So when a bad heroin batch came through, we may go on 2 or 3 overdoses in a week. Sometimes we get them back, sometimes we wouldn't. But the fentanyl is kind of new and it's so much scarier. And now I'm hearing something about carfentanil, which is like 1,000 times worse than fentanyl.
That's right.
So what's really sad and scary is kids. I mean, most of us when we were younger, we did a lot of stupid stuff and tried different things. And I'm glad my children are out of that stage, in their 30s now. But there's a lot of kids, a lot of people dying from fentanyl.
Yeah, and I think one of the scary things is how it can look like a Zantac or some other form of medication, and stamped correctly, or a kid tries it or takes it not knowing that it seems severe.
Yeah, there's a lot of the fake drugs out there on the streets that may be labeled different, just like you said. It doesn't take much.
So for the firefighters, what do they do with the threats? Because the things you see on a daily basis, is there a counseling support? You're talking to each other?
It wears on you for sure. When I had retired after 34 years, I didn't have any tears left to shed, because of the stuff that you see. Being in the military, you know what I mean. But, you do. And the beauty of being at a station with 3 or 4 other people, you have that built-in kind of a relationship. They saw the same thing you did, right? So you can really talk it out. A lot of times when it involves children, it's especially hard because most of us have kids. But we also have a peer support team, counseling team. We contract out with professionals to come into the firehouse and, help us out. But, there's a lot of, it's tough when you go home after that. Maybe you haven't been home in a few days and your wife or spouse has been working really hard with the kids and is stressed out. Then you come home and you might not be in the best mood. You may not have slept for days. You got to have a really strong spouse too.
Yeah, and it's almost like spouses are hopefully to support each other. And what can you share, or how much will you share?
Everybody does that different.
Yeah.
I generally shared everything with my wife.
Okay.
Yeah. Just I want her to know what I'm going through.
Oh, for sure.
But I know some are very private. They don't like bringing that stuff home with them. And maybe that's good. Maybe that's bad. I think it just depends on the person.
Right.
And the family, right?
So you had a unique journey in the fire department because you also handle working externally with the community and politicians and that sort of thing. It was almost a segue for your service here in the...
Yeah, it really was because of what my dad did. And he would bring home foster kids for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, to spend that day or a few days with us, just to kind of show them what a loving family, what laughter, what holidays, what the whatever the holiday is about, just how it can be. So I just got a soft spot for kids who are going through a tough time. And I spent a lot of time visiting kids with cancer at hospitals, taking the fire engine to their house on birthdays, a lot of different things. And it was all to try to get just to lift up the family. And it wasn't always about the kid. We'd pull up in a fire truck and all kinds of swag. And the kid, is all of a sudden not thinking about their brain cancer or the fact that they might not have long left to live. But the thing that I really loved was when looking over at the parents and to see that big smile on their face, because that's the first time their kid smiled in months.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. And that was another reason I had no tears left to shed. It just was too much, everything I just needed to be done. But, then that, when I got elected to the council, I felt like a little bit of my sense of purpose was gone. I only was retired a year before I got elected, but that year I'm like, no one's calling me anymore. Nobody needs me. I was the union president for the last 16 years of my career. I was in the middle of all the action, and all of a sudden my phone stopped ringing. And I'm like, what am I going to do with myself? And that's when I decided to run for council. But then that led immediately to starting a music program at Orange Grove High School right across the street from City Hall here. It's a continuation school for kids who have it rough, and they have it really rough at home. Maybe they're living with the grandparents, maybe there's no father, and the kids are rough. And but bringing music to kids,
they do like a jam session
every Wednesday.
Yeah,
every Wednesday for
and
an hour.
You were talking about your journey with that, so you'd met somebody else that's a big time musician too, actor. I'm an actor who plays as a musician. How about that?
Oh,
because I didn't play an instrument, so I can act as if I play one. But no, it's not happening. So, but you meant someone who's an actor and a musician that came and helped, inspire the program.
Yeah, and I'm not going to take credit for the idea, because my partner, Don Kindred, who goes with me every week to Orange Grove High, he actually, and the school counselor who was there at the time, thought we should try to bring a music program to this school to give these kids something to do. Because, these type of programs aren't usually available anymore at a lot of the schools. So Mr. Kindred put out on Facebook, hey, anybody got any instruments? I want to start something at Orange Grove. And I said, hey, I got a couple old guitars and I'd love to join you. So I was with them on day one. And then, and Don is an older gentleman. He sang on Lawrence Welk's show. He was in Vietnam. He's the head of the Corona Symphony Orchestra. So he has some skills that he can teach you how to read music. He can help you with your vocals, and he can play the stand-up bass. So that's kind of his limitations. Myself, I can cheat on a guitar, but do it well enough to have fun. And I'm probably more of a listener than I am a musician. So sometimes the kids will come in there and I'll never pick up a guitar, but I'll talk to them for 40 minutes about how their friend overdosed over the weekend, or how that their mom and dad got in a fight and their dad went to prison. Whenever the case, I was kind of more of the unpaid counselor, and we don't get paid for any of it.
Oh, for sure, stuff for sure.
But yes, a few years ago, a Corona resident had reached out to the city council, and he was upset about something that was going on in his neighborhood. And so I just picked up the phone and I called him, and his name's Les Jones, and we ended up going to get some coffee together. It turns out that he's a professional musician and a professional actor.
Okay, I like how you turned that in from a complaint to a coffee to, he's my bud, we're going now.
Yeah. And matter of fact, I just nominated him for the Supervisor Spiegel's Second District Senior Legacy Award, and he got picked. So in a few days, I'm going to be in Elsinore with him while he gets his award because of all the work that he's doing with the Orange Grove program. But the thing that makes him so great, other than he's a super cool guy, he can relate to the kids, but he brings all of his instruments in from home. So we got some basic stuff there that was donated by the community. The firefighters donated a nice organ, but he brings the saxophones and the flutes and the drums, and
he's Jack Black level.
He is amazing. Yeah. And he knows, literally, one of the girls said that she wanted to learn how to play the saxophone. She wanted to learn how to play Happy Birthday for her mom, because her birthday was coming up in like a week. In 40 minutes, he had her playing Happy Birthday on a saxophone.
I need to meet this guy. Honestly.
Oh, seriously. Yeah. He can bring in 5 or 6 kids, me and Don, and in a half an hour, he'll have us all jamming to the same beat.
Also adding aside, School of Rock, they do have a program, School of Rock, and it's completely full, but I'm amazed how talented the kids are. I mean, they really pick it up.
Well, and I wish I would have started younger too, because I didn't pick up a guitar until I was pushing 50.
Okay.
And my mind does not pick up things like they did when I was a kid. So yeah, some of these kids could teach the class.
Yeah.
Some of these kids can play, but they have no idea what the chords are, but they're beautiful.
Well, we need to get more music in our schools, that's for sure. I'll say that. So bring back
music, man.
Yeah, bring back the music, because I do really believe it sets you free. All your emotions, all the things that's pinned up inside through art, music, sports, athletics, all those things that are really wrapped around that other learning of education, the STEM. But it's those other things that really help, shape it.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned some awards. So you've gotten some awards. I don't want to. I want to say this: Man of the Year. I think was it Citizen of the Year?
Yeah,
some of these awards.
But it's kind of funny because my dad recently passed away about 3 years ago, but he's got all these awards in the city of Orange. He was a social worker. He built Orangewood Children's Home, but he was loved by the community because of what he did away from work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he got Citizen of the Year at Orange. He got all these awards, but it was all based on his love for these kids and protecting these children. He was a national expert. He was called upon to testify on a lot of things. But because he was so loved by the community, they said, "Why don't you run for school board in Orange?" And he's like, "I'm not a politician." And they're, "Yeah, but you do good. You have 5 kids. You care." So he ran for school board and got elected. And then a while later, while he's there, they said, "Why don't you run for Orange City Council?" And he goes, "Okay." And he did, and he got elected.
Oh, okay.
And then did that for several years. And then there was an opening for some reason on the Orange County Board of Supervisors. And Governor Pete Wilson at the time called my dad and said, "Bill, you need to, I want to appoint you to this open seat on the Board of Supervisors." Okay. So he was all of a sudden thrust into this Board of Supervisors. And it just like that, the bankruptcy hit. Orange County bankruptcy. He ended up running for re-election when his term was up, got elected. But my point is, a lot of the stuff that I've been recognized for is based on just stuff I was doing in the community.
Yeah.
There were some things I worked hard to be a good firefighter, but it was more that, there was somebody who was out there in the community, bringing some smiles to some kids' faces.
Well, when I read about you and your bio, I knew that all those awards are based on your actions, like how you've been showing up over the years in service. Clearly, like father, like son.
It is, and it's such an interesting parallel because, I mean, I hate politics. I think it's ridiculous.
I think most people do, actually.
Oh, it's so stupid. But I've been able to, whatever my role, I always say a firefighter has, on the very first day on the job, they have the magic wand in their back pocket. And you can choose to leave it there your whole career, or you could pull it out and you can try to make magic happen in your community and with the kids or whatever. I chose to use that wand to the fullest, right? And because of that position, you are put in positions to where you can really make a difference. And then when I got elected to council, I just kind of kept doing it because that's who I was. And I'd be teaching kids a guitar, and then somebody would say, he's the mayor, right? And they're like, what? I don't tell them that because I don't think being the mayor is a big deal at all. I don't think being on city council is a big deal.
Unless you're not the mayor. Yeah, and I'm just kidding.
I care less about the mayor. No, I was mayor in 20. It's a rotational position in most small cities.
Yeah.
The 5 council members, one of them will be mayor.
Sure.
Well, I was on for 1 year. All four of the 5 of us on council in 2019 were all brand new. 4 of the 5 were. So there was one guy that'd been there for a while. And we said, hey, you be the mayor, because, I don't even know where the bathrooms are here, right? So you be the mayor for this year. And then they go, okay, well, you'd be mayor next year. So you're vice mayor on day 1. And I'm like, oh, my God. And then all of a sudden, 2020 showed up, and I'm mayor on January 1st, and COVID hit.
Oh, yeah.
George Floyd incident, and bit civil unrest. In Corona, that's when we were attacked by the killer mosquitoes that still haven't gone away. That was when they came to Corona.
I better get out of here pretty quick.
No, so far so good in 2025, but 2020 was miserable. I had all the crazies on the extreme left, the extreme right. I could write a book, like thousands of emails, and I'm getting pummeled from every angle that, how could you close schools? And I'm like, I don't work for the school district. How could you close businesses? I did it. The governor did.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Oh, no, it's that title mayor. It just represents that for sure.
Everybody that's mad takes it straight to the mayor's office. Even though I have no more power than the other 4 colleagues, I don't make any more money than any of them.
Yeah.
But man, I had people asking me to change the name of the city of Corona because it sounds like the virus.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just a really brutal time. I joke that I'm still in recovery.
You're still in recovery.
Yeah.
And so birdhouses.
Yeah, I built a lot of birdhouses.
There you go. Or what?
Yeah.
Birdhouse.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
But anyway, so 2025 has been pretty good so far. There hasn't been anything major, I'll say, but there's still 4 months to go.
So we're, we at Catholic Charities serving both San Bernardino and Riverside counties in 5 core programs: hunger relief, and obviously counseling services, which you've talked a little bit about today. Workforce development or career advisory service, really important. We have a pathway to citizenship program as well.
Nice.
And then, our other one is healthcare access. So we're really trying to do a total person care approach. But also as a nonprofit, we realize that we're not the end all be all. There's other nonprofits, cities, governments, and folks that we need to partner with, right? So we can give that service. You sit on a lot of committees. One of them is a homeless outreach or homeless committee.
Yeah, when I was running for office in 2018, one of my primary platform positions was to do something about the homeless problem in the city of Corona.
Yeah.
And, basically nothing had been done for decades. And with the Supreme Court decision of Martin versus Boise back in 2018, I believe it was, it basically, what it said was you can't remove anybody from a public space unless you have a bed to offer them in a nearby shelter with the full wraparound services that person requires. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have a shelter. And so because I had said it so many times during my campaign, I'm going to try to manage it. I wasn't going to solve it. I never used those words because we're not going to solve this.
Complex issue.
Oh, for sure. Totally. And, but I also knew that if you just keep your heads in the sand and don't even try, that it's just going to get worse. Mm-hmm. And so I got elected, and I was immediately we started an ad hoc committee. They made me the chair of it because that was my thing. And After about 6 months or so, I realized that we didn't have anybody on staff, on city staff, that knew how to solve this or how to deal with it. Sorry.
Right.
And we didn't have anybody on staff that had 70 hours a week that they could set aside for homelessness. And so we were kind of spinning our wheels. I was trying really hard, but it wasn't working. And because I didn't know how to solve it either. As a firefighter, I've been on hundreds of emergencies dealing with homeless people. But once we got them to the hospital, that was my extent of it, right? And so I believe we had some intervention here where a family friend of decades was the homeless and housing czar of Orange County.
Okay.
Under my dad, worked for my dad.
Oh, he had a pointer. Small world.
Oh, yeah, she lives in Norco. But she was the homeless czar of Orange County. And imagine having to deal with all those different cities and supervisors and, oh my God, the politics there. So I saw her one day, her and her husband, who's a pastor here at Corona. They were at the police department. They were going to go donate a bulletproof vest for one of their canines.
Okay.
And she said, hey, you want to come? So I met her there. And as we're talking, she goes, what's wrong? And I go, I think she saw tears in my eyes. And this homeless thing is just rough and I don't know what to do. And she goes, well, I'd be happy to help you. And I said, yeah, well, come to my meeting Monday morning at 9:00. That's our ad hoc committee step one. She goes, I'll be there. And she just pulled it all together. And she was volunteered for like 6 months. And then we realized the value, the city manager realized the value that she had. And we brought her on full time. She's still full time today.
No kidding.
And we put together a A to Z system of services with our homeless strategic plan. We had tons of meetings with the advocates there, with the churches there, with the homeless there. We had everybody and elected. And we put together an absolutely beautiful gold standard system of services here in Corona.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we opened our shelter. It's a 40-bed facility. It's very low barrier. It's roughly 30 beds for chronically homeless male, 5 beds roughly for chronically homeless females, separated, 5 beds for recuperative care. So if you get released from Corona Hospital and you're already on the streets and you're ill or you got broken bones, you come to our facility. It's a full navigation center.
Okay.
So we have case managers right when you walk in the door. We're not offering you a bed for the rest of your life. It's to get you in, stabilized, and off to something better. That's the intent.
Yeah.
We have, at that facility, we have a dentist's office, healthcare, and behavioral health, or mental health care. And because many of these folks need that. But it's very strict, though. It's not a walk-up shelter. The only way you get into our shelter is if you've proven that you have documentable ties to Corona and you were brought there by a Corona police officer or a representative from CityNet, which is the group of social workers that we hire basically to go out on the streets every day and make these contacts, try to build that trust and get people to accept service.
Building the trust is key. As a matter of fact, we just had a meeting about this morning. We do have a program ourselves, the Neighbor to Neighbor program, that works with the homeless folks. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge to earn their trust. And complex issues like this require critical thinking, complex solutions. So it's not an easy thing because you have mental health issue, you have all sorts of trust issues, and then the addiction we talked about earlier. It's very challenging.
It really is. And, we had to limit it to documentable ties to Corona because we saw what happened in Santa Ana. We've seen what happened in Riverside, that if it's just a free-for-all and it's a walk-up facility, once they don't get in, where do you think they're going to be? Outside the facility with a tent, right? So I've spoken at a lot of different events, and I've looked at a lot of other city leaders in other cities and said, get off your ass. Do something in your city. You're not going to send them to us because we're spending $8 million a year on the problem. You spend $8 million a year. You spend $8 million, and you spend it. So deal with your homeless.
It should definitely be a combined effort.
It has to.
Strategic.
Geographic
boundaries don't stop with homelessness.
Right. So that's the way we done it. We started a motel voucher program that initially was started for inclement weather.
Okay.
We turned that to year round. We got about 30 motel rooms. That is designed for families, women, and children. Okay, they're not. We don't want to have any. We don't want to have any women and children who are just having a tough time.
Sure.
In a shelter, one of our shelters, on our low barrier shelters. We want them to feel very safe, very independent. And that's more what homeless is than what we see on the streets. We have so many kids in our school district that are homeless, that live out of their cars in the motorhome in somebody else's house. And and that's what most of homeless is. The woman and her 2 kids, her husband passed away. It was the primary breadwinner, a lot of domestic violence issues. And so we have our motel voucher program. We have our navigation center for 40 beds.
Yeah.
And we took advantage of the state home key program, and we converted one of our hotels to permanent supportive housing.
Okay.
Which is 53 rooms, and they all have kitchenettes.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we hired Mercy House to run most of this.
They're a wonderful organization.
They're wonderful. So between Mercy House, CityNet, and us, we're not just giving somebody a motel room and saying good luck. We're there talking to you, make sure you're eating, or make sure you're getting your meds filled, doing all this stuff to try to get you to the next step. And we have apartments set aside for when you are able to kind of graduate to the next level. I'll get you an apartment.
We'd love to step in at some point. So Catholic Charities is really along that journey. We are not specialists in homelessness, that's for sure, right? Although there's going to be great nonprofits that are. And Catholic Charities would love to step in at the point where we're doing that wraparound services to help people on the edge or elevate people out of poverty. Because as you said, it's a journey.
Well, and government can't fix everything.
That's right. Right? The way I thought they couldn't.
No, not even close. And so we do need our faith-based organizations for sure to be part of it. But we also need the different nonprofits. I was at a nonprofit, was it last night? 2 nights ago, Angels Over Cliffs.
Okay.
And it's a wonderful newer organization. And Angela and Cliff, Angels Over Cliffs, had lived in their forever home, and then times got tough. They lost their homes. It converted to, started going down the path of drugs, and were addicts. And she told her story just 2 nights ago too. And then after living in a motel for 2 years with her husband, they found God at one of our churches, and that's what saved them. That's their story. And at this fundraiser, the very first gala, the person that cooked for it, formerly homeless, lived next to the dumpster at Walmart with his wife and 4 kids, but they've got help. Angela and Cliff helped them get the motels, and then housing after that, and she raised tens of thousands of dollars
On your bird box or your bird.
So I didn't donate the bird. I did donate my redwood wall planter. I build a lot of different crafts, and I donate to the nonprofits so they can use it as a raffle or as a celeb auction. Oh,
Get a little signature on there.
Oh, I do. I brand them. I brand everything.
Yeah.
JS on everything.
So I just want to ask you, so what would your advice be to a young kid out there that's having some challenging times? Maybe one of the kids in any school for that matter, they're having some challenging moments. Obviously they can reach out to their school counselor, but internally, what would your guidance be?
It's so hard to put myself in as I had a great life. My family was wonderful. I can't complain about anything. And so I can't really, I just think mentors are so important. And for many, church, it's what saves a lot of people, but I think just finding that mentor, it's interesting at Orange Grove. I totally feel like my dad in so many ways. There's this one gal that was over there, one teenager, and she's just wonderful human being and just kind of rough at home. And she actually dropped out of school after 7th grade. And then they finally caught up with her when she was 17 and said, you're going to be a senior this year, even though she hadn't been in school since 7th grade.
Oh, wow.
So she came over to Orange Grove High with 0 credits, graduated with straight A's. And I met her during jam session. And I said, you ought to volunteer for the city. And she goes, well, what does that mean? And I said, let's walk across the street. So we walk over here to City Hall. I took her into community services, our Parks and Rec folks. And I said, hey, this is Tanya. And she wants to volunteer. And the person in charge goes, well, come to this volunteer organization or volunteer meeting so we can tell you what it's about. So she shows up, and now she is she's a part-time leader in Parks and Rec. She works for the city of Corona. So just like that. And then I'll tell one more story. So a young man named Miguel. Again, a kid that probably hasn't had many opportunities put before him. And his parents, Spanish speaking only, super great kid. And once they find out I'm a firefighter, they like to talk about that and go, they sure tour my office. I got fire stuff all over. And I says, why don't you become a fire explorer with the Corona Fire Department? I go, my son did it when he was 15. And you're 17 or 16. I go, why don't you try it? He goes, well, what does that even mean? So I said, well, they're going to be doing interviews and I'll help you because I've never had an interview before. So I said, okay, no problem. So I showed up to the school on 2 different occasions and pulled him into a room. And I said, okay, dude, this is what it's about. And I gave him a mock interview, and then I got him on the Mayor's Youth Council.
Nuts.
Yeah, which is my year. And then, and then the principal got him involved in the mentorship program that involved just some males who needed a strong male leader in the community. They brought the group to my office up here, went and met with the police chief, went and met with the school superintendent, people that had basically had a successful career. And I never had a degree. It took me like 11 years to get an associate's degree, So
I walk the same path. I get struck about that all the time. Education's tough.
And I tell it, you don't need a 4-year degree. You don't need to spend hundreds of $1,000s on it. We need plumbers. We need electricians. We need mechanics.
That's right.
And we need firefighters. Look at me. I'm the freaking mayor. Anybody can do that.
Well, I'm sure your dad is really proud. Looking down from head and just seeing today and a life of service.
Yeah. Oh, but I didn't finish. Miguel, on his interview, he passed, and he's now a Corona Fire Explorer.
I love that.
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to the mentorship.
Yeah.
If you can find somebody that you can connect with and that maybe has some experience, or maybe they're just a good listener, or maybe they have connections, right? Latch onto them, But definitely, you got to stay out of trouble, because once you get in trouble,
it's easier to compound that trouble for sure.
Well, it's tough to ever get a good job after that, too.
Sure.
So just don't get in trouble. Everything will work out, if you just do your best.
Yeah. Well, life of service, I was so happy you said that because it just reminds me of volunteering. Everybody that's watching now, they can volunteer for Catholic Charities. They can volunteer for obviously the city departments and also all the other many nonprofits that are out there, and volunteer even in music programs. And also, if you're like me and you've got a couple of instruments in your house sitting around, I can learn or I can donate those as well.
Yeah, if you got 4,000 people watching, if you got any extra guitars or anything that you want to donate to the kids, we'd love to take that.
Yeah, no, seriously. I'm staring at a guitar. I have 2 guitars. One of my team members actually helped me tune them up, but I haven't played them since. So I really need to either decide, am I going to do that or I'm going to donate it? But ultimately, you want to volunteer, take some action. For anyone who's younger watching now, if you felt inspired by our mayor of Corona, Jim Steiner, if you feel inspired, just ask for support, ask for help, ask for a mentor. In some ways, the best way to find a mentor is to be a mentor. So if there's someone around you that you can support through a problematic time, have that courage to support them, but also ask for support for sure.
Well, and I think that all of us you need to be knocking on doors regularly, because once a door opens, you all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I have an opportunity to help this kid or someone, his family. And if you would never have taken the initiative to knock on that door, you would not have maybe helped this kid or saved that kid.
I'm amazed. I'm going to tell a story, Mayor. Usually it goes the other way around. But I think I heard this story. So I was recently at the VA and I saw a young man, 31. He's on crutches with his both knees in devices. And I'm just looking over at him and he's moving to his car. He makes a funny joke. I make a joke back. Marines giving each other a hard time. And he was injured in the Marine Corps. And he's really down on his luck because we're saying surgeries and all these things. But the point is, I opened a conversation with him. I opened that conversation, a dialogue. And now I'm texting him, calling him, and discussing his situation and sort of elevating the situation because I've been there. I've been the injured Marine and now on the other side of that. And so I have a chance to mentor and walk alongside this young man to help him some support. So I think you're right. There's always an opportunity to knock on that door or reach out or help someone.
Well, and you could have given up when you were injured. You could have kept that all to yourself, or what it sounds like is you made lemonade out of it, right? Yeah. And you use those experiences. No one knows better than you, right, on what your fellow soldiers were going through, and take your experiences that you've learned in your life and see if you can put it to good use. I'm sure you can if you just knock on some doors.
Absolutely. So everyone, mix some lemonade out there. Volunteer. I hope we just learned a lot from our mayor, Jim Steiner, here in Corona about life of service and really reach out and influence others. Thank you, Mayor. Really appreciate it. Much your stories and so much time. There's so much more we can get to, but I really noticed
we could talk all day.
That's right.
Appreciate the work that you all do. Come together and make a difference.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching.
All right, thank you.